Everyone, I'm James Jump. Welcome to the final lockdown session. It's been so fun to do. Thank you all for coming on and watching. So, you know all of the drill. Before we get into it, I want to introduce today's guest, and that is Jess Guise, singer-songwriter from the UK. So, Jess, I'm going to jump straight in. How have you been?
I've been okay. Yeah, I've been all right. The second lockdown has been less challenging in some ways than the first one for me. Personally, how about you?
For second lockdown, it's been the exact same because college.
Yeah.
Because I've just been going college, so there's not really much different. It's like I'm stuck in this loop.
You've been busy.
But luckily, with it's literally just lifted, so hopefully that means good news for the future of gigs and the future of everything.
Fingers
So,
crossed. Yeah.
First lockdown, how were you then? Because that was just sprung onto us.
Yeah, I mean, the first one feels like both a million years ago and a million years in duration. Do you know what I mean? So it was interesting because I was on tour with my husband Frank at the time when when it sort of started to become a problem in this country, and we ended that tour a week early. But
Yeah.
Obviously. Sorry.
Sorry, I was gonna say I felt that because literally 4 days before it got announced, you ran cancelled, and I was helping out at my local high school doing like reading, so I went on Instagram and I saw that it was cancelled. It was a Liverpool show. I was like, oh no, 4 days.
I'm really sad about the Liverpool one. We had loads of family that I was hoping to be there as well, and yeah, Liverpool's lots of my family are up in Lancashire, so that was going to be a big one. So yeah, we were all just as sad, I promise. So it was really, and we were having just the most wonderful time on that tour. So it was very, very sad, and that was the sort of the most dramatic heartbreak moment for me, because it was also the first time I've ever gone on tour with my husband, and it was going really well, and that was really nice. And we had wonderful friends from the States, so that bit was a bit of a blow. But we started doing these lockdown shows that I'm sure I know I've spoken to you on the group on, so I know that you've been there.
You have. Yes, you have. I tried to stay and watch them all. I like recently I haven't been up to date. I've been
them all, but I recognised your name from the comments to that, and that was really nice, and that kind of gave us a something to look forward to every week, because all the stuff when I'm not doing music, I'm an actor or a tutor, so I teach classics and English and history, GCSE and A-level, and so all my students who had exams coming up, which what I do generally is sort of pop in and help them with the exams, they all had their exams cancelled. So all of a sudden I didn't have any work there either, and everything just went a bit dead. But it was really interesting, because it's a long time since I've had a chunk of time to fill myself. Like it reminded me of summer holidays when I was a kid. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what do I want to do today? And in some ways there's something really lovely about that, as long as you can see it that way. But when it's forced upon you, and you can't fill your day with seeing people that you love, then it was up and down, and it took a bit of adjusting. I was very lucky. Obviously, I have my lovely husband with me, and in some ways, because Frank tours all the time, and we're not used to being together as much as we have been this year. And it turns out we get on really well.
What is it now? Like show 2502, is it? I think it's around that.
That's his job. Yeah. Something like that. But I mean, lots of them. So I mean, he has to be away quite a lot in order to tally up those kinds of numbers. Do you know what I mean? And that's what our life has always been. And we kind of, both of us work quite well like that. We have our own space, and then we come together and we do lovely things together, and then we have our own space, and that's how we built it. So I suppose we probably were both a little bit nervous about being stuck together for the best part of a year, but actually that's been the saving grace of it, is having him around a bit more, and the cat obviously was crucial. Yeah. She was crucial to my sanity in lockdown, and she's a very needy cat. So people always say that cats have hated lockdown, but our cat she's like a dog. She's thrilled. So it was all right. It had its ups and downs. It had its difficult moments. I think financially it was a bit scary to begin with. Then we sort of worked out how we're going to manage it. We left London, in fact, which was very exciting, gave us something to look forward to. So now we're down by the sea, and that helps. Having the sea over there is pretty cool. And things, so I think, the challenges that arose were unique and unusual, but we were very fortunate in in that we weren't hit by any of the really hard stuff. So my family have not been ill. None of my family yet have really suffered at the hands of corona. And I have one doctor in the family who is a fierce, wonderful woman who has strode through this with incredible veracity and optimism, and she's fantastic. But the majority of my family were safe and locked out. So actually we had it, I think, a lot easier than other people. It's not easy. It hasn't been easy for any of us, has it? But
I'm glad your family's been safe, because loads of people have been affected, have been hit hard. Like, luckily I've been in the Wirral. That was bad for cases a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it's luckily got better, and no one in my family has actually had it. We've had a few scares, but like none, which is very nice to see. But coming back to
I feel like I might have had it, but very, very mildly, ages and ages ago. Do you know what I mean? I feel like everyone I know thinks they've had it, but isn't sure. So, but no one's been very seriously sick.
Because last December I had the symptoms, and they thought I had sepsis, so I had to wait like 11 hours in like an emergency ward. And the time I had the flu, but it was so weird. My mum always says, you had it. So it's quite funny. Like, everyone always thought they had it.
My father was very, very sick before Christmas, and we will never know. But at the time when he first said, "Oh, that was very coronavirus," was very much like the symptoms of coronavirus. We were all like, "Yeah, come on, it didn't even exist in December." But then it turns out that it had, and his company have people that work in Wuhan, so it is possible. It's possible. But yeah, so who knows? We'll never know. That everyone will be speculating for the rest of our lives, probably, won't we, about whether we've
one of life's biggest mysteries now. So I want to still, before you saying about history, I currently do history A level. It's been weird doing all the courses online. Like, as a student, we had to like adapt to like learning online. It was just a weird thing to do, because you'd be given an essay told don't cheat. But like your books down, it's so hard not to.
It's hard not to, but you have to be strict with yourself, because it's only you you're cheating. That's what I always say to my students. It'll be harder in the exam if you never do it properly before the exam. But then if you're not going to have an exam, which was the case for lots of my kids, and that was quite a difficult thing, because a lot of the students that I work with, because it's a sort of off and on temporary thing between gigs and music. So they tend to be kids that are like focusing for a specific reason and getting some extra help. And so some of them had taken a whole year out to improve their grades to get to the university they wanted to get to, and then because of the weird moderation system, they actually did worse even than they had done the time before.
Yeah, it was like flipped over. People who were expecting A's got like E's, and it was my mate was expecting all B's and he got C's.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of my students were affected like that. Though we did manage to solve most of the problems, but that was quite a stressful period. I think it's a really difficult time to be young. I think that Frank and I are both very grateful that this didn't happen 10 years ago in either of our careers, or indeed, well, on your first year of university. I mean, you're not supposed to go to university and sit in your room, that's not what you're supposed to do.
Get out.
Yeah, exactly. And make your friends for life. That's what it's for. So, or some of them. So, we're again grateful to be in the stage of our life where we're at. We feel like we've had it a lot easier than some.
So you said before about you recently moved down sea. Do you reckon is that like really refreshing? Because that must be great on like your health and like while writing and all that.
It is. So it's a really interesting thing. We always said, well, I always want to move to the countryside, because I find the city. I love London, and to be honest, most of our friends are still in London. I will always love it, but living there all the time sits quite heavily on me. And I have always wanted to move to the countryside, and Frank has always wanted to move to the sea. And we sort of this year we were like, why don't we? Like, there's really shouldn't. Like, as long as he can get to a train station and get to an airport, he can do his job from anywhere. And I am retraining actually as a psychologist and psychotherapist, so I can start that industry anywhere. And as long as I can get into London, which we still can, then there's nothing stopping us. So it is just, it's like your shoulders just go down. And if you're stressed, because you still get stressed wherever you live, life is going to give you difficult days. It's nothing that's ever ideal all the time. So on stressful days when things are difficult at the moment, we're just like, should we just go to the beach? And we just walk to the beach and breathe in the sea, even just for 5 minutes, and it just makes everything feel a lot more manageable. So we're really grateful for that move, and we're not the only ones that have done it. Also, lots of our friends, including Jay, Beans on Toast.
Yeah, I was actually just about to mention Jay. I was going to talk about gigs, and saying the last gig I went to was to see Jay in the Gorilla in Manchester.
Oh,
That was the
amazing.
last one. Then yeah, no more now. All stopped.
No. Well, he released his albums yesterday for his
Yeah, I
birthday.
recently had a check of that. Got a review on soon.
And I was going to support him for that as well, so that was a little bit sad. But the album's really good. I did some harmonies on it because it was
I knew it. I was listening to it yesterday on the bus. I was like, "Is that Jess?" I swear to God, I didn't want to ask just in case you went no.
No, it is me.
So I finally know that was like the question. I was like, "Do I ask?" But yeah, the live streams. I want to
Frank. So I was the only female vocalist in the house. So that proximity gets you all sorts of gigs. Yeah, that went well.
Well, pro tip: date the famous folk rock singer. So your live streams with Frank, they've been helping a lot of venues, independent venue love. I think you've definitely raised over like 100,000.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
saved
feel
so
like
many
I can take
venues.
too much credit for that. That feels like that's hubby, really. That's Frank. That's him being incredible. We love them. But yeah, it's been a wonderful thing, and it's hubby, and it's the incredible generosity of his fans and the Frank Turner world and everyone in that. It's just the most supportive environment for Frank Turner. Frank Turner fandom, as I'm sure you know, and seeing that in sort of tangible financial terms, that coming together and like helping these venues stay open. It's been really, really cool to watch.
I'm glad to know that you've been able to help with it all. But literally just before lockdown, I think it was the 6th or 7th of March, you released your EP, was it? The Fun Pot?
Yeah.
So
yeah, just before. Yeah.
That must have been weird because literally you just came off releasing it, then the lockdown hit. Do you want to go at all?
Well, it was a bit of a shame because obviously doing the music thing has been and getting to a point where I was brave enough to actually do this has been quite a difficult emotional journey, because I just started with my band taking it quite seriously when I met Frank, and then I didn't know anything about Frank at all when I met him, but when I saw what he was and the world that he was in, I basically freaked out. I didn't want anyone to think that's what I was interested in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of shelved it out of fear for quite a long time, and then slowly over time realized that that was stupid. And he's very, very encouraging and has sort of been encouraging me to do it, but it's been a slow process because I've been acting, so I've been in shows for years and years. So it was always difficult to do it around that. But yeah, so we finally got there after a really long process, and released with Extra Mile, who are like family friends. They're very, very dear people to us. And it was all very exciting, and it was all going very well, and people were responding really well, and there were plans for festivals and things in the summer and so on and so forth, and then this all changed. That said, though, I feel like in some ways we will be releasing an album next year, which we are working on. And in some ways, because of the live streams, I feel, I mean, it's very much Frank's audience, I guess, but I feel much more connected to people, and far more people have heard my songs through those live streams than would necessarily have done anyway. So I'm not sure it's been entirely negative. I tried to see the positives of it. Do you know what I mean? But, yeah, I've been able to connect with people still. People have been very encouraging, and people are ordering the EPs, and people are ordering the shirts, which is like mad to me that people are willing to part with their hard-earned cash for a t-shirt with my face on it. But it's so nice, and people are doing it, and that's really lovely to see. So God knows what would have happened if this hadn't happened, and you have to sort of not think about
it. It is weird to put into perspective, really, like how different it could have been, because it must have been so weird, like to think there's probably an alternate like version where everyone could have turned out differently.
That's true for the entire population at this point, I guess, isn't it? It feels particularly potent because I've just released it and I've just started. So, but again, I'm lucky to be at the age that I'm at and the position I am in the other work that I do, that I'm not like a 20-something start who's had their big break and then lost it because of this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a much more settled, comfortable world that you inhabit in your 30s, or I find that way. So I feel like, okay, well, I'll just put it on pause, and then when things come around, I can go at it all guns blazing again. Feel ready to do that and okay to do that. So as long as people are still interested, then that will be what I do when it all comes down.
I'm glad that everyone's staying interested. I'm glad we've had today's chat about lockdown, bands and everything. So I'm going to wrap it up soon. Is there anything you want to say?
No, not really. Except it's lovely to speak to you, and thank you for doing this. I think it's really important to keep people talking and communicating about how they are in all of this madness. I hope you've been staying okay, staying sane as possible.
Thank you. as sane as you can be. So
yeah, it's all relative, isn't it?
So everyone, thank you so much for watching this series. I've had so many people on it. I've loved doing it. But you know what? Let's get someone amazing on for the finale. I'm so happy you've all watched. I've maybe something like this in the future. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Bye.